Hey guys, this week we are talking about the time when Jesus and his disciples were walking through a field of grains. Nothing unordinary about that. They walked everywhere, and fields of grain were very popular where they lived. The Pharisees got mad because the disciples decided to take some of those grains that were growing and eat them. I don't suggest eating these raw. I suggest cooking them in something. And the Pharisees got mad. Not because they were taking from a field that was not theirs. We would call that stealing. They had rules that people in need could glean wheat and the leftover grains from fields. They got mad because it was the Sabbath and you were supposed to rest, not work. Picking the grains in their law book was considered work. So the craft for this week is going to be making granola. First of all, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get the liquid part of this going. I'm gonna squeeze some grapefruit in here. I like a little bit of tangy citrus in my granola. Grapefruit came from Auntie Terry's tree. Thank you, Auntie Terry. I'm gonna put some honey. The honey is Carolyn's honey from our church. She has 5 beehives in her backyard and she has her own, woo, this is cool, her own honey. So this is definitely local, organic honey, and that's really awesome. I don't put sugar in mine. I like to use the honey alone to make that sweet. This is fairly sticky, but I am so excited to be trying this. All right, we'll put that to the side. Butter. It needs a grease or a fat of some kind. I like the way butter tastes, so I'm going to use butter in mine. And then, to balance out the flavor, I am going to put some vanilla. I like vanilla. Whoop, that's probably too much, but that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and stick this on the stove and melt it. Please make sure to use parent guidance. Oh, wrong. No wonder that's not doing what I want. There we go. And that's just gonna simmer on low. I'm gonna stir it every once in a while, but I'm gonna start making the granola part. A huge part of granola is the oats. And I do not measure my granola. I just dump and pour a lot of whatever I have in the kitchen. Some sunflower seeds. Dump those in there. Some chopped walnuts. Now, I buy the chopped ones because they're cheaper, but then also I usually have my kid bang them up a little bit to make them even smaller. And believe it or not, he does not make as much of a mess as I just did. All right, so we're gonna put some walnuts in there. I do a lot of nuts in my granola. I'm the only one that eats it in my family, and nobody in my family is allergic to nuts. So if they are, you might wanna stick just to the seeds, pumpkin seeds. My pumpkin seeds are at church, otherwise those would be going in. All right, so I have just poured a bunch of stuff in there. To this, I'm going to add some cinnamon. I like cinnamon. I used to add cinnamon sugar to it, but I decided it really didn't need the extra sugar, and so I just put the plain cinnamon in there. Okay. Now we're going to want to stir this. Make sure the honey's not burning and everything is melting nicely. Actually can be a little bit lower temperature. It's just melting, and butter melts really hot or very nicely out here in the hotter weather, so we don't really need to worry about that. All right, so I've got my dry ingredients. I'm gonna turn the oven on now. at a fairly low temperature. I just put it in for 276. I am going to stir these ingredients together. See if I like the way it looks when they're all stirred, if there's enough nuts or add anything. It looks pretty good. Then I'm going to take my liquid mixture, turn the oven stove off, and I'm going to pour my liquid mixture into the dry mixture. See if we can get you to see some of that. Yeah. All right, so it's gonna stir in there. And then I'm just gonna stir it all together, try to get all of the oats and nuts coated a little bit in that oil and juice mixture, the liquids. Once they're all coated, we are going to butter up a cookie sheet, lay them out on the cookie sheet, and stick them in the oven. And then we're done. It's a pretty easy recipe. The only way you can ruin it is by burning it. If you want to add fruit, like raisins or craisins that are already dried, or chocolate chips, add that after you bake it. If you have raw fruit that you want to cut up and put in there, that will cook along with it and dry out, so that's perfectly fine. But if you put the dried fruit in and then cook it, they're gonna turn into little teeny tiny bricks, and that's not fun to chew on. All right, cookie sheet. Butter. So we're gonna spread this all around because we don't want the granola to stick to the cookie sheet when we go to bake it. Usually I use the butter wrapper to do that. Okay. Got a little bit of liquid in there, might as well use it, right? All that precious honey and vanilla. All right, the fun part, this goes on the tray. Goop it all on there. Flatten it out so it has a chance to cook evenly. You don't want big hills in your granola mixture because the stuff stuck under it will not cook. All right, I've got my oven on at a low temperature, 275. This is pretty flattened out. Ta-da! We're gonna stick it in the oven. Get grown-up help. Please do not burn yourself. And then I'm gonna leave it in there for an hour and I'll come check on it. And then I'm gonna eat it. So have fun. Let me know if you make the granola recipes and what items you put in or leave out. Have fun and remember, it's okay to do good on the Sabbath. Talk to you later.